All right, let's get some computer action going here. Make sure you guys can hear me and see me, and we'll be good. So, there comes my computer. Okay, I can see me. All right, let's see if y'all can hear me and see me, and we'll be good to go. All right, Lawrence is 5x5, Ed, and nobody else. Two people can hear me. Okay. All right, Jasper's got it. Undercover, Old Crow, good deal. Okay, so microphone's working. Had to check it. Didn't work the first time. All right, so happy Saturday night, guys. It's been an interesting one for sure. It's supposed to get, a little bit of showers today and a deluge, pouring rain. So yes, I had the pipe out to put more water in the pond. So I keep doing that, get that all moving. But I need it to dry out so I can tear up the backyard so I can get back there to plant. So, all right, I want to start off with something simple. The censorship team at YouTube is really out for blood here with everybody. Anybody that's conservative for sure. They hit me with a strike, a couple of weeks ago for doing something that didn't even come close to what a lot of other channels that videos that are totally up do. So they're going out. If all of you guys are familiar with Off the Wall Prepper, I've done a couple of live streams with them in the past. He got dinged and got his channel completely shut down for a strike they gave him on an 11-month-old video. Okay. So he has created a new channel and starting over again. So I'm going to post the link down here in the comments, and that way you guys can go resubscribe to his new channel so he can get built back up and continue putting out the good information that he was always known for in the first place. So just wanted to give you guys that one as a heads up. All right. So is the other big piece of news today. We'll kind of go into this for a couple of minutes here. There's a choice of either making a video on this or talk about it tonight. We'll talk about it tonight. If any of you guys caught the news today, apparently Norfolk Southern is covertly shipping the polluted water and the polluted soil now not only to Harris County, Texas, where of course that's Houston, but also to Wayne County, Michigan, which is where Detroit is. Okay? They're actually sending it to Romulus up there. They kind of forgot to tell the people in Michigan, or at least the people in Detroit, about it. Now, here's my big question. If the water is safe to drink and the soil is safe in East Palestine, why are they shipping it to other places? What do you think about that one? Okay. That's a big question I have. So who are they lying to? Are they lying to the people of East Palestine? Well, we know they're lying. They're not even lying. They're not even telling the people in Michigan. And as soon as the politicians in Detroit found out, and granted, it's Rashida Tlaib and Debbie Dingle that were the mouthpieces for it. But yeah, we're just going to, under the cover of night, ship a bunch of this stuff up to you. Now, apparently they are pumping the water into deep well reservoirs in Romulus. And that causes a little bit of a problem because the people that live around there, their wells are only 45, 50 feet deep for their water. Okay. Why not tell them? Now, my question here, and this is completely me questioning, you heard the other day about Gretchen Whitmer giving $15 million worth of slush money to Norfolk Southern, right? We had that train derailment in Detroit a week ago. Did she know about it and just not tell anybody? Was there a kickback to Gretchen? Hey, we want to put the contaminated crap up here in your state. Is that okay? Yeah, here, just slide me a little bit of money. I won't say anything if you don't. Yeah, you think I'm kidding. As crooked as she is, I told you the other day about the whole National Guard thing. Yeah, slimy would be a compliment to Gretchen Whitmer. So interesting, though, that, if everything's so safe in Ohio, why are they shipping it off to other places? I got a great idea. Why don't we ship it off and just bury it in the center of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.? That way, in case there is any problem, if we're killing anybody, we kill worthless people, politicians. But just interesting as to all that going down here. And then one I'm going to talk about probably in the morning here is the latest deal from the World Economic Forum. Okay, this also came out today. The World Economic Forum has ordered, not requested, ordered the world's governments to start rationing meat and fuel. You elected Klaus Schwab, didn't you? I know he was right on the top of my ballot to put in there. Maybe the people in Sweden or Abu Dhabi or the Philippines. We must have all voted for him to be able to order the world's government to do something, right? I wonder if I order his execution, if that would hold as much weight. But yeah, so that was, I'll get into a little more detail on that one tomorrow. But that was just something that came out today that kept me pissed off for about a couple hours until I just finally walked away to do some other stuff. Like I said, pouring rain today, so the only thing I was able to do was get out and work in the garage a little bit, sealing some more wood, getting that, the never-ending project of putting tongue and groove on the ceiling. So that was it. And other than that, getting ready to start planting my summer flowers because I'm in between. My cabbages have all come up. My peppers have all come up. Those are all my second planting of cabbages. So those are good. But I can't put anything out in the yard yet because I can't till anything in. I've got those first cabbages that are ready to be planted. So, but I got to get these flowers started so they're ready to go after our last frost date, yada, yada, yada. So, typical, you guys all know this. It's like, okay, I got 1,000,001 things that need to get put into a small space. So we'll see what happens. I got to get some of the stuff out of there so I can get some more stuff put in. But that'll be tomorrow's project. And then peas will be next weekend's project to start planting those and getting things going. So yes, I understand a whole bunch of you guys are under a ton of snow, but down here it's the beginning of planting season. So, all right, let's get into tonight's fun as is. For those of you that are new here, and we've continually adding people to the channel, which is good. If any of you guys saw it, Patriot News took one of my videos the other day and put that in their newscast last night. One of you guys, thank you for telling me about that. So made me feel good. It's like, hey, somebody actually listens to me outside of YouTube and says, this guy knows what he's talking about. So I'll take that as a compliment. But for those of you that are new here, what we do on Tuesdays and Saturdays, this is all Q&A for you guys. We talk about anything and everything, whether it's economics, politics, food storage, gardening, backup, whatever, weaponry, you name it. There's nothing that's off limits. Okay, so whatever you guys want to talk about is what we talk about. If you got a question for me, please put it in all caps. No different than any other channel on YouTube. Okay, there's God knows how many of you here, because of course the monkeys at YouTube can't update the counter on the bottom, and I know there's more than 51 people here. So we'll take that. The only thing I require, not ask, require, is that you treat everybody in here with respect. Disagreement is totally fine. I have no problem with people having differing opinions. You're not going to agree with me all the time. I get that, okay? But if you want to be an asshole about it, you won't get a second chance, okay? We just say goodbye. Disagreement is fine. Just do it politely. That's all I ask. All right, that's all I require. All right, so let's get into this. I will get to the top. Again, I will tell everybody, I don't have all the answers. I've never professed to, but between everybody that's in here, chances are we got 99.9% of them. I try to get to as many questions as I can. I don't get them all. Please pay attention to the comments. Somebody else may have the answer to the question before me if I don't get to your question or if I don't know. Somebody asks me about raising hogs. I'm not the right person to ask, but I guarantee there's somebody in here who can tell you anything you need to know about raising hogs. So, all right, let's get up here. David Galifaro, there's a way to start. Do I think that Putin will drop the big one? No, I don't. I mean, if it ever got bad enough, I think he would do something tactically in Ukraine, but I don't think it'd ever get that far that he would ever try to do a nuke. I mean, it'd have to be pretty bad. Not saying it can't happen. Okay, you're asking my opinion, and I'll give it to you. But then again, my opinion was that Putin wasn't going to go into Ukraine. So, my opinion means about that much. One of the reasons I'll say that, you remember me talking the other day about the Chinese 12-point peace proposal. Okay, I was pretty accurate on it. Biden and NATO said hell no. What I got backwards was Ukraine and Putin. Putin said he was all for it. Okay. Ukraine said they had to think about it. Okay, of course, because China probably didn't offer as much money to Zelensky as he's getting from NATO. So that's the deal there. And Zelensky's trying to figure out how to play both ends against the middle so he can suck money out of both. But the striking part was that Putin was okay with this because, like I said, the underlying tone of it was that China wants to put a puppet government in Ukraine, and that would be their foothold into Europe. Why would Putin be happy about that? Well, it still gives him the buffer zone between him and NATO, and technically it would give him an ally because, of course, if China goes into Ukraine as some sort of puppet government, do not think for a second that there's not going to be a Chinese military presence in Ukraine enormously that gives them free reign right into the rest of Europe. So that was that. Harbor Prepper, thank you for the super chat. The water purifier arrived yesterday. Good. Couldn't be happier since one good turn deserves another. Here's something for you to use for the family. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. That'll go into the Christmas fund. All right. Moving right on along here. Let's see. Looking for questions. Original OSOC, what do I think about the Jackie Berger testimony in the Arizona Senate hearing? I don't know anything about it, so I couldn't even answer. Please tell us what's going on or something like that. I mean, if it's something to do with all the Maricopa County crap and the elections and stuff like that, pick the next one, okay? We know that one it was as crooked as Georgia was. So Georgia's been now for 2 terms, let alone a presidential election. But, hey. Oops. They didn't give me any strikes, just pulled my video with no explanations. Okay, no it could be you get a video pulled if there's a copyright infringement. If you start using, I know I've had other people's videos pulled that have used clips of me without my permission in their videos. And, you ask me to do it, chances are I'll tell you go ahead. Okay. You just do it. Chances are I'm going to have it pulled. You do it and start trying to mock me, I guarantee you I will fight you to the end. Let's put it that way. Yes. My attorney's made a couple of phone calls to content creators, or at least to YouTube. Let's put it that way. Von Mousetrap, another train derailed in North Carolina today. Well, hey, we only get $1,700 a year, because, you got to remember when Joe Biden offered Pete Buttigieg the job, Buttigieg didn't quite understand what it was. It was the Secretary of Transportation. Buttigieg thought it was the Secretary of Trans, and he was all good with it. And then the deportation part came on there, and he was like, I don't know anything about that. The first part I'm totally about, but yeah, okay. Sorry, it's just a good joke. Michelle J, can I put the link in the comments after the live as well? Yeah, because I can't do it right now. Okay, hopefully I'll remember. Susan Musser, maybe the prepping folks should migrate to Rumble. Clunkier but free speech. I know a lot of you guys ask this. Okay, Rumble, clunky would be a good day for Rumble. The problem with Rumble is, you guys know as well as I do, a lot of the videos that I post are time sensitive. Okay, it's news that just happened or news that happened overnight. I've had videos that I've put up on Rumble that's taken them 2 days to release. I mean, can you imagine if I come up today and say, well, there was a train that derailed in Ohio? I mean, that's the problem with Rumble. Rumble is not, you post a video, it takes usually 20 minutes to upload. Sometimes it'll take 4 hours. Okay. Rumble is like, if you're lucky, it'll take 4 hours. If it's normal, it'll take half the day. You know, until Rumble gets into the 21st century with internet, it will be my last option to go to. Okay. Unfortunately, there is not another decent platform out there besides YouTube to do this. You know, and the other thing is, I'm not paying $25 per live stream to do a live stream. Sorry. As long as Rumble wants to keep charging the content creators to do live streams, they'll never see me do one. Let's see. Holly H, our local leaders are furious here in Houston about that water. No heads up from the EPA. Same thing going on in Detroit. Hey, let's just see if we can sneak it in the middle of the night and nobody will know the difference. You know, this is the corruption that is going on. You know, not that I find it funny, not humorous funny, that they're taking them to large cities. I mean, you know, Sharps Chapel doesn't have a toxic waste disposal area. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be in a large city somewhere. But like I said earlier, isn't there one in Ohio? You know, maybe we wouldn't have had this. Why is everything about East Palestine being done on the QT? We're not going to tell them what the chemicals are. We didn't do that for 10 days. We're not going to tell them where we're doing. We're not, you know, the guy in the hazmat suit is going to tell you the water's safe. Then why the hell are you wearing a hazmat suit? You know, it's like, why is everything so covertly done here? And they won't be honest with anybody. Because it's the Biden administration. That's their policy. Don't be honest with the people. Chris Servant, did they ship it by rail? No, actually, they sent it by truck, which was the funniest part, because that's still Department of Transportation, and you still have to have the placards on the truck stating what they are. The trucks were never inspected, and nobody ever told the state of Michigan what was coming on the truck. I mean, imagine that if there was an accident on I-95 coming in to Michigan or something, and we had the same chemicals spilled again. Very possible, could have happened. Anybody ever driven on the roads of Detroit? You know, it's like an obstacle course, dodging potholes. You know, try doing that in an 18-wheeler. Rural Internet Prepper, thank you for the super chat. Our group has been discussing crossbows as a silent added property defense in an SHTF situation. Thoughts? Romulus is heavily blue. Yeah, I know Romulus is heavily blue. I did a video on a pistol crossbow I've got, about a year and a half ago. I mean, and I think it's a great thing to have. Again, it's a pistol crossbow, so you're going to be talking about closer quarters, okay? But a full-size crossbow, if you know how to use it, yeah. I mean, the other advantage to it is, and this is the reason why I got the compound bow for Christmas, or asked for it, Mrs. P got it for me, because there could come a day where you can't get any more ammo. Arrows are reusable, you know. Now, of course, yes, I know reloading ammo and stuff like that, but you still got to be able to get primers and all that sort of stuff. So, but arrows are reusable. Yeah, absolutely. But learning how to use a bow and arrow is a skill we should all know. Foxenny, did I hear about the huge explosion at Pemex crude oil storage facility in Mexico? Which one? There were 3 of them. 2 in Mexico and one in Texas, all Pemex. Okay. 3 with the same company on the same day. I don't care how you put that to me. There is no way in the world you tell me that's an accident. 2 would be highly suspicious. 3? Come on. Yeah. 2 in Mexico and 1 in Texas. Yeah, I heard about that one. Awesome Sauce 753. Why aren't they just being contained right there? I'm going to, again, guys, please give me some context of what your questions are. I'm usually 15 minutes behind when you're typing it. I'm going to take a guess. You are talking about East Palestine, and that's exactly my question too. Sure, you got to get rid of this stuff somewhere, but you've already Hiroshima, the city of East Palestine, or Chernobyl, it, whatever you want to call it. Norfolk Southern, you can start writing some big checks to people so they can move. And I mean, you can just turn that town into a new toxic dump, I guess, or something. They got to put the stuff somewhere. You can't just leave it laying on the side of the road there. But yeah, I'm not a environmental scientist or anything like that. I can't tell you what the best way to get rid of it is. The only question is, with all the secrecy and the underhandedness and the corruption that's going on, like I said in the video the other day, I wonder if those white flakes have anything to do with all of this. Brandy, thank you for the super chat, and thank you. I will try to be well as best I can if I keep my blood pressure down. Let's see. Jamie R. I've never been more worried about bomb warnings like I have. Will they send out warnings on our phones if something does happen, or will they hide that too? I've got to think that if all of a sudden NORAD detects something incoming from Eastern Europe or from Asia or something like that, that just like we get those Amber Alerts on our phone stuff, I got to think we're going to get a warning like that. I'd be completely dumbfounded if that happened and they left the public to just, gee, honey, look at that. What's that going through the sky? But it's Joe's government right now, so who knows? Rural 2IC, thank you for the super chat. I just started a prepping YouTube channel. Can I have your permission to do a review on your channel to share on how good of a job you continue to do? Do me a favor, shoot me an email. I'll have a conversation with you about that. We'll go from there. Let's see. Prepping for heaven. They better be giving those people free bottled water. Now, the only free bottled water I'm aware of that's been given out so far is from Trump. But then again, he's pretty much the only one who went there. I mean, Pete went in a pair of dress shoes, I mean, I'm like, come on, Pete, you could have put boots on, Fairies wear boots, right? Ozzy Osbourne reference. Yeah. I'm not a Pete fan. Silver Possum, Washington State Senate voting on whether to make the Chinese Lunar New Year a paid legal holiday. Why don't we just make Xi Jinping's birthday a national holiday too? Hell, I mean, we're already completely just controlled by him anyway, aren't we? It's like Joe just does whatever he says. Moonlight Gardner, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Okay. North Alabama hiking. Pinball, I was in the Pew Pew store today and saw the same Pew Pew you got a strike for on the shelf. I thought there's the pinball special. Whether or not it was the 3 Plus or the Evo 3 is the difference, okay? But yeah, the 3, if you're considering something like that, definitely go with the 3 Plus and not the Evo. You'll understand real quick if you if you got a chance to before YouTube took it down. Morons. Yeah, Susan Lathrop, the World Economic Forum can stick their orders. Ain't that the truth? Disney up, boiler up. If we don't ration, is there a fine? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that this morning or in the morning. So get into a lot more because that'll take me 15 minutes or whatever. Stacy Sheffley, when or how often should you fertilize onion seedlings and should you trim the tops? Yes, you need to trim the tops. And I'll start with this part because if you don't, and you certainly need to bottom water from them because as soon as they flop over, they're dead. Okay, that's it. You need them to stay vertical. They will get top heavy. That's why you need to trim it. Remember how you're harvesting your onions. You harvest your onions when the greenery flops over. If the greenery flops over now, the onion thinks it's done and that's it. You're not going to get anything. So you've got to be able to keep them vertical, not keep them top heavy. Do you want to fertilize them with nitrogen fertilizer? And as their seedlings, very, very light, a very light nitrogen fertilizer, but they're going to need a lot of nitrogen at this point. That's what you're fertilizing with. So if you're doing it with organically or whatever, you can take some diluted tea, put some water in like a third time through coffee grounds, dilute that out, something so it's almost like a light golden color. That would be enough. You could use a very diluted bit of urine. That would work. Or you can go out and spend money, but try the organic ways better. They're free, and you can learn about those now. So when you can't get the stuff that you buy on the shelf at Home Depot, you already know how to do something else. Where did I see that story on the World Economic Forum? Oh, crap, I closed the link. Was it Envolve is the website, ENVOLVE. Okay, go back over here. Steve McLean, what was that chlorine smell that came from the sky about Wednesday? If anybody knows, please let me know. Please let Steve know because nobody's telling us. Big surprise. Jules, need I mention that these people don't give a shit about country sovereignty or the Constitution? Yeah, the World Economic Forum doesn't. The World Health Organization doesn't. Take world out of this, guys. I don't give a rat's ass what the rest of the world is going to try to tell me to do. I don't give too much of a damn about what the U.S. government tells me what to do. I'm certainly not going to listen to some yahoo from Germany or Africa or something like that decide to dictate what I'm going to do living here in the United States. I want to eat meat. I'll damn well eat whatever I want, whatever I please, and you aren't going to tell me differently. Period. Okay. Yes, maybe you have the option to shut down the gas stations and say that I'm not allowed to buy gas. I'll tell you this, do that in the United States and watch how long those gas station owners don't have a store anymore. I'm just saying, that's what you'll have happen. You want to talk about a revolution, that'll bring it on. I've said a million times, the only thing that is stopping the world from being under a tyrannical form of government is the Second Amendment. The United States is the one that holds the keys, and it ain't the government, it's the people. Because all of these globalist assholes know that if they ever try some of that stuff in the U.S., they'll be in a body bag. Going hot. Hey, Pinball, great group of moderators. Absolutely. No question. I got the best mods in the business on this channel, and I thank them every week and every Tuesday and every Saturday for taking time out of their day to come keep this a relatively clean PG-13 house. There you go. Lucky Dame says the same thing right afterwards. Okay. Robert Bates, Pinball, did you know you pop up on my Google News feed once a week? No. That's interesting. Okay. Start my own channel. PNN. Flint McRock, first time I've planted Cherokee purples. For those guys that don't know, that is a type of tomato. They are growing a few inches a day, looking wonderful. Not knowing where you are, but yeah, I mean, Cherokee purples are one of the most favored type tomatoes for preppers because they are a old school, very old school heirloom that grows very well. It tastes incredibly well. They're somewhat similar to the black crims that you guys got the seeds from me. They're a very deep dark red. They don't look like it's not the red tomato that you get in the store. Okay, they're very deep dark red with like a purple crown to them, and they are very tasty. The Fat. Good day. From Melbourne, Australia. What do I think of Mike Pompeo? Well, I'll tell you this. If he runs for president, I sure as hell ain't voting for him. Okay. Pompeo's good at talking out of both sides of his mouth. You can tell he's a politician. Okay. He's like Mike Pence. Okay. They'll say they're a conservative until they want to lean toward Rhino. But then they'll come back and say they're a conservative. I mean, Lindsey Graham is the king of that. Pompeo's right along the lines. I'm not a fan of Mike Pompeo. Truck Campbell, any update on the Virginian ash? I have not heard anything today whatsoever. Hillbilly, having problems with grub worms here in Texas. Do you have any idea how to get rid of them? Depends on how, when you say problems, okay, you're going to have some grubs in the garden. There's no way around that, okay? If you've got a lot, okay, then you're either going to have to get some nematodes in there to kill them, but then you've got the nematode problem, okay? Or you're going to have to get in and start digging them and literally running through your dirt through a sifter, like some hardware cloth, and sifting them out. Yeah, trust me, I get grubs in my soil here too. I mean, in my garden soil, but also in the clay soil when I'm digging a hole for a tree, all this, fresh nothing, and there's grubs there. So yeah, you put this. If you get some nematodes in there, the nematodes will get rid of the grubs. But then what you're going to have to do is get rid of the nematodes, and that's marigolds. So you can kind of work all that together. Some grubs are going to be okay because they're going to help break down the organic material in the soil. It's when they run out of something to eat, then they're going to start going after your plants. So that's what you're looking at there. I just saw something. Media, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Ed, thank you as well for the super chat. What's my shirt size so I can send you a shirt that fits? I sent you one a while back that was too small. 2XLT. Got to have the T in there, otherwise they're too short. But yes, there's my shirt size. If they just come in as XL or something like that, Mrs. B gets them. So, all right, let's see if I can find out back where I was here because I had to scroll down for those because they didn't show up on top. Spectre says regular compound bow is the way to go. I got both. Crossbows are overrated. I'll take your word for it. I like my pistol crossbow. The one thing that I will say, and I can't speak for a full-size crossbow because I've never fired one. Okay, but even the pistol crossbow, it takes some strength to cock it, if you will, to pull it back. Not so much with the compound bow. Still takes strength to do it, but you can adjust the weight on the weight of the pull. Nicholas V, I believe. Oh, okay. I'll cut this one anyway. I believe the stock market will crash sometime in the next 6 to 8 months. Do I agree? Yes, I do. I think the economy is toast. Florida based, thank you for the super chat. PBNN, news you can trust. There you go. Thank you. Let's see. Susan Musser, what compound bow would I recommend for a woman with less upper body strength? I'm not the person to ask this one. There's plenty of people that are going to know a whole lot more about bows than I am. Like I said, I'm going to be learning my bow. So that I'm by no means a bow expert. I'm no means somebody can give you any sort of recommendations. I'm asking questions to anybody I can about things. So hopefully somebody here in the chat can answer. It's not going to be me. I'm not qualified to answer that question. Hound of Goshen. All preppers should know about pre-charged pneumatic air guns. Yeah. I mean, anything is better than nothing. I mean, even if you've got an air rifle or something like that, you ever get shot with an air rifle pellet, that hurts. You ever get shot with a paintball, it hurts. Okay. You're going to get somebody's attention at least. I mean, you're not going to kill them. You're going to change their mind pretty quick if all of a sudden they ting, 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 they get hit with a bunch of pellets. Nicholas V. Inflation is rising. When will food and energy prices return to normal? I tell you this is normal. It ain't going back to where it was before. Okay. You can forget about prices coming down. Right? Like I said earlier, the World Economic Forum wants to stop. Their goal, and what I'm going to talk about in the morning, is specific to making things to the point where people can't afford them. So that's how they plan on rationing things, that they're going to keep raising prices to price us out of the market. That's their plan. Judy Goodson, my other question on cleanup is, why didn't the EPA mandate a new lined dump to put the ash in water? Call the EPA. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense to me. Figure out somewhere to put it, where it's going to be sealed forever. I love the excuse going into Michigan. Well, it's 99% water and 1% vinyl chloride. Water evaporates. What does that leave you with? 100% vinyl chloride. Cool. GC, I'm guessing there's an O missing there. It says hello from Bangor, Maine, where it's 7 degrees here, a bit too chilly for planting. Yeah, I think. Unless you're planting ice cubes. I don't think they grow too well. Jerry Spinoza, not much property in New York, so I will grow vertical. Yeah, and there's plenty of ways to do that. I mean, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, anything like that. I mean, again, and remember, vertical means down too. Certainly grow potatoes, you can grow turnips, you can grow rutabagas, anything like that. All those things are going to get you sustenance, is what you're going to need. You're not going to grow pumpkins in New York, okay, or squash or something like that. That's not going to happen. But if you can figure out one cherry, I mean, if you're in a city in an apartment, I'd certainly say grow cherry tomatoes as opposed to beefsteaks or salad tomatoes or anything like that, because cherry tomatoes are prolific. You'll get 8 or 10 cherry tomatoes on one bunch, I guess, or anything like that. That would be the way to go. So, but yeah, I mean, you've got to figure out how to use the space you have and make it as productive as possible. And that means that some things you're not going to be able to grow, but you can pretty much grow anything almost anywhere, even if it's a little flower box out hanging over your railing on your porch, you can still grow peppers or something like that in there. Certainly, like I said before, peppers, there's more vitamin C in peppers than there are in oranges. In the woods, how do I fight cabbage worms? There is a product that you guys have asked this one a few times. I've linked it up a couple of times. Just go on Amazon and look for just type in the search bar Caterpillar Killer, and it's completely organic. And it's a white bottle. It's not Bear. I can't remember who makes it, but it's like one of the first ones that comes up. It's not that expensive, and I mean that's the best thing to spray with that I've found. Nicholas V, isn't any train incident a federal thing? Sure, it's NTSB. Okay, so yes, anything like that is going to be some sort of, the feds will be involved in it. Let's see. John M, what album was Fairies Wear Boots on? God, what was that? Was that Zeppelin 2? Or not Zeppelin. It was Black Sabbath. Crap, I can't think of it as Black Sabbath. I can't think of what album it was on. Sorry. It was definitely before my time. When that came out, I think Fairies Wear Boots came out somewhere around 1972. I was 6. So, was it on Paranoid? Okay. Somebody said it was on Half Bubble Off Plum, said it was on Paranoid. Doris P, what news sources do you look at daily? I want to learn. Oh my God. I mean, I'll look at Fox, I'll look at Zero Hedge, I'll look at Breitbart, I'll look at RT, I'll look at Citizen Free Press, I'll look at Censored News, I'll look at the Epic Times, I'll look at the Sky News out of Australia, I'll look at the Israeli Times, I'll look at the South China Morning Post. I mean, there's a ton of them, and the whole key is you got to find a story that is on more than one site and not the same story, not these places that just, cut and paste something like, okay, here's a story from the Associated Press and it's on Fox and it's on MSN and it's on the Detroit News, whatever it would be. That doesn't, the 3 separate, 2 or 3 separate stories. Then you can figure out, okay, the story's got teeth, because that's the only way I've found to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, because there's a whole bunch of these, we're a news channel, and you go, never heard of them. And you start reading the story and go, you're a psychopath channel, so, yeah. Stacy Boyd, how deep do you plant potatoes in a grow bag for the best harvest? You want to get them down at least about 6 inches. Especially in a grow bag, because you don't want everything to start popping out, because you're not going to have a whole lot of room to hill your potatoes in a grow bag. So get them down at least 6 inches, probably closer to 8 maybe. New England Prepper 23, do I think it's worth stacking junk silver to have different denominations? Oh, 100% absolutely yes. Okay. Junk silver is going to be your change. And I mean, and I'll say this, here's your reason. Let's just say silver prices stay around where they are. Silver's what, about 21 and change right now or something. So to make it easy, let's just say it's $20. Okay, we'll make silver worth less than it was. Right. But so that means each silver coin you have, each silver round you have, is a $20 bill. You want a loaf of bread? You gonna pay $20 for a loaf of bread? No. How are you gonna get change? You're gonna get change in junk silver. I know some people said copper, but I'm not going to be hauling around sacks of copper with me, because, what I need, copper 75 cents or whatever it is. I'm going to need 30 of them to make change on a 1 silver coin. I'm not carrying that much around. So yeah, having junk silver is definitely going to be your change, because again, remember, $1.40 worth of face value is 1 ounce of junk silver. So if I want to buy a loaf of bread, and let's just, for again sake of argument, say a loaf of bread is $5, I'm owed $15 and change. Okay, so what is that? 3/4 of $1.40 is what? I'm owed $1.05 face in junk silver in change. And okay, give me 4. How would you do $1.05? You'd have to do what, 1/4? What, 3/4 and 5 dimes is what you'd have to give me in change, right? No, 3/4 and 3 dimes. And now I've paid my $5 for my loaf of bread off of my 1 silver round. That's exactly that's how it'll work. The fat. Do I reckon China would take Australia if they invade Taiwan or the USA? Oh yeah, hell yeah. China will take Australia, or wants to. Whether or not they do is a different question. Okay. But China, believe it or not, their long game is total world domination. Okay. If you guys read the 20-year-old speech that I gave you the other day, the Chinese believe they discovered the United States and that we are living on their territory. You want to tell me that the Chinese don't also believe that Australia is their territory? At least, you're a little closer. Nicholas V, when do I think China will invade Taiwan and Russia to Moldova? Well, see, when China goes into Taiwan, I think that's kind of been slowed down a little bit because Ukraine's not over. China's perfectly happy seeing NATO waste all their armament in Europe because that's less that we have to defend Taiwan. But I still think China goes into Taiwan probably. I'd give it a 2/3 chance that it happens by the end of this year. Okay. Russia to Moldova is a different issue. See, what you've got is Russian forces in Transnistria, which is a pseudo-independent nation. They consider Transnistria is kind of like Taiwan, okay? That Transnistria is in between Moldova and Ukraine on the western edge of Ukraine. There are Russian troops there. This is why the Ukrainians have troops on the western border of Ukraine. You go, well, the whole fight's on the east. But the Russians can backdoor them there, okay? The bigger question is, when does Ukraine go into Transnistria to stop the Russians there? And then if they can get the Russians out of Transnistria, then you have no issue whatsoever with taking all the troops and sending them east. Russia does not have the strength to go into Moldova until they can steamroll all through Ukraine. There's one little pseudo country in between there that you got to pay attention to. It's tiny, but it's important. Catherine Smalley, what was the name of the cherry tomato you thought so sweet to the taste? Bartelli's. They are Bartelli F1 hybrids. And the seeds aren't cheap either. They're about $8 a pack. But man, those plants get enormous, and I get boatloads of tomatoes off of them. Angie Parton, do I know anyone who has turkey beans? They're a type of green bean. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Mountaintop Preps grow them. And I believe they got them from a friend of theirs, somebody that she works with. Do I know anybody that has any to give away or to sell? No, I don't. I mean, I know they're not an easy thing to come about. Yeah. Barstool Profit. Cucumber starts on a heat mat got 2 inches tall. I hung grow right 6 inches above them last night. Now they're laying over dying. If you still have them on the heat mat, that's why. Okay. Once you need the heat mat to sprout seeds, you don't even need them for cucumbers. Okay. But if you've got them still on the heat mat, you're frying the roots is what you're doing. Cucumbers don't need a heat mat at all. And your grow lights should be closer than 6 inches to them, but that's not doing it. My guess is you've still got them on the heat mats. That's your problem. You're frying the roots. One Kentucky Moonrunner. I grow Better Boys and beefsteak tomatoes in South Carolina. Oh, both of those are excellent tomatoes, no question. Okay, there's thousands of varieties of tomatoes. What you got to find is what you like to eat and what grows well, and then you keep growing those. That's it. Sure, you always want to play with something new. Mrs. P and I are growing a new kind of tomato this year, just because it's something different. One of you guys sent me some Czech tomato seeds, and so we're going to do that. But other than that, you grow the ones that you like the best, and if you find one that you like better than something else, then drop one and pick up the other. So Think about what you use tomatoes for. If you're using for eating fresh, what am I using for eating fresh? Okay, these are my fresh tomatoes. What am I using for making my sauces? Okay, or my salsas, or yes, I know salsas, Spanish for sauce. Or these are my paste tomatoes or whatever. You got to figure out. There's a lot of things that what you want to grow. Okay, what do I like? What am I using them for? Okay, and what grows here? Those are the important questions you need to answer. Oops, shot to the bottom. Back up we go. A truck Campbell. Air guns have their place in SHTF. I've killed many critters with my $88 CO2 repeater rifle. Yeah. I'll tell you, even though those salt away ones to shoot bugs with or whatever it is, shoot somebody in the face with one of those. See how well that goes over. Anything is better than nothing, guys. Randy Brown. When learning to shoot a bow, wear arm protection. Getting slapped by the bowstring is painful. That was the first thing I was taught, was to get that, and I got it. So that's the very first thing. Jennifer Espinosa. Will the stock market crash lead to another Great Depression? No, because we're going to have a Great Depression for other reasons because then the stock market crash. The Great Depression is actually going to trigger the stock market crash, not the other way around. The reason that the stock market crash triggered was one of the triggers for the Great Depression was because of how much money was borrowed. Gee, where have we heard that before? To buy stock. And back in 1929, you could borrow 90% of face value. So if you wanted to buy 100 shares of Microsoft, okay, you only had to have the cash to buy 10 shares of Microsoft, and the other 90 you borrowed. Well, all of a sudden, what happened was when the market started dropping, because remember, it didn't all happen in one day. Okay, when the market started dropping, there were margin calls because you were required to keep that 10% of cash. Well, people didn't have more money, they had to sell some of the stock, and then that just wound up a snowball effect, and that was what caused everything. And then the banks were closing down, and people had no money because the banks had loaned all this money and weren't getting it back, and then the banks were broke. That was what caused it in 29. The margin rules have completely changed in the U.S. now. It's now 50%, and you don't have the brokerage firms aren't as anybody and their mother can go, just buy stock on margin. So, but the stock market will crash because the underlying fundamentals of the companies are going. Think of this. You guys know what's going on with Disney. Okay, Disney stock is down 2/3 in about a year. Okay, or what's going on with Facebook or whatever, right? The companies that have gotten hammered for going so woke. Imagine that with 490 companies in the S&P 500 drop 2/3 of value. That's what's going to happen. These companies are making their fundamentals are so bad that they can't fudge the numbers any better to make it look good. And stock prices are based on earnings. When the earnings suck, the stock prices come down. When people start losing money, that's when they run for the hills. And then again, it's a snowball effect. Piney Patriot had no choice but to shut my small business down. That sucks. Rhonda, I have a CO2 arrow gun and it's great. My crossbow is hard. There you go. I mean, again, whatever works best for you is, what you have the physical ability to use, okay, and B, what's in your budget, okay? Sure, you want to go out and buy a gold-plated Desert Eagle? Don't waste the money, okay? That's fine. Not everybody can afford that, all right? So you start what you can afford, what you're comfortable using. Again, it's kind of like what I just said about vegetables. There's certain questions and criteria that you've got to meet. But for somebody that says, well, I'm saving up for the gold Desert Eagle, whatever it would be. What do you have now? Well, I don't have anything. Well, then you're useless, because if SHTF happens tomorrow and you got nothing, you're a speed bump, okay? Have something and trade up or whatever it would be. But don't go, I'm just going to wait until I save $3,000. Nest Peeper. Zone 5B, when to start broccoli, when to move it outside. Okay, so you're a couple of weeks behind me. If I look at broccoli, when to start it, you're probably starting your broccoli around the 1st of April, and then you're going to move it inside once you move it outside once you've seen 2 sets of true leaves on it. And that's a rough guess. Okay, you've got about a month till you need to start your broccoli. Yeah, maybe 3 weeks. You know, you're nowhere. I mean, my last frost date is April 30th. So, you know, we're talking about, and broccoli's a cold weather crop. You can, it'll take some frost and stuff like that. So you can deal with it earlier. So your last frost date is probably somewhat close to Mother's Day. Garden grower, why are they moving the water from Ohio to Texas? Your guess is as good as mine. You can't tell me that there are not chemical waste treatment plants somewhere between Ohio and Texas if they've got to take the risk of traveling all this stuff, transporting all this stuff 1,000 miles. You know, there's something else there. We just don't know about it. Rural 2IC, would I ever do a pocket dump to demonstrate what your EDC when you leave the house? Probably not. I mean, there's certain things there's a lot of things I don't tell you about me. You know, 99.9% of you don't know my first name, and you never will, let alone know my last name. There are certain things that I'm not going to advertise what I carry on me, what I have, whatever would be. I mean, you guys know what weapon I carry, whatever else I carry. No. Especially putting it on YouTube. Yeah, guaranteed I'd get let's just put it this way. I guarantee I'd get a strike. Oh yeah, in case anybody doesn't know, in case there's any other content creators on here, just to let you know, effective March 1st, and if you haven't seen this, if you show any weapon in a live stream, it's an automatic strike. Okay, so just letting y'all know that. Copper Goat, do I companion plant trap crops? If so, what is my favorite? Well, let's see. Told you I was planting flowers. There's nasturtiums right there. Those are one of the very first ones that go in because those things will grab the aphids away from my plants, and they will certainly grab the cabbage worms away, or I'm sorry, cucumber beetles away from my cucumbers. So, yes, I definitely plant trap crops. Don't know, Brian. Maybe the white ashes ground up Chinese balloons. Well, there was too much of it. Says ground up Biden brains, but you know. Randy Brown, you can buy direct from Keystone Meats. Shipping's expensive. I don't know what your context is, so we'll move on. Kilroy Girl, help, I have voles. Do you know a natural way to get rid of them? I tried juicy fruit gum and upside down water bottles to no avail. I don't have an answer for you on that one. Okay. You can always do the Bill Murray like in Caddyshack. Go for it that way. No, I don't have an answer. Just for your FYI, have you tried the green muscle supplement for your dog yet? Yes, he's been on it for about a week. I don't know. It hasn't done anything ineffective. He's moving around fine. It's not hurting. Let's put it that way. Whether or not it's helping, I can't really tell because we're still giving him his arthritis medicine, but he's getting up. We don't have to go pick his butt up off the ground. So maybe it is helping a little bit, but yeah, Ed says BT is a good caterpillar killer. That's what's in the product that's the product that I got was BT. So that I was talking about. Kathy Warrensheis, best way to get rid of box elder bugs. I don't know. I don't have any box elder trees, so I don't have the problem. The fat. I would like to see Pinball and Neil Oliver have a conversation. I have no idea who Neil Oliver is. So I'm guessing because you're in Australia, he's an Aussie. But I don't know who, unless he's one of the guys on Sky News, which is possible. But yeah, let's see. Pine Tree Riot, House New Scorpion. I haven't got out and put any rounds through it yet. It hasn't stopped raining here in a month. I think I was looking at the weather today because I've still got to do this. It's supposed to rain every day but one between now and March 11th. This is it. Like I said earlier, I think Noah moved into Sharps Chapel. Okay, because this is crazy. Can we save some of this rain for summer? You know. Oh, geez, it's 10 o'clock already. All right. I'm going to do one more here real quick. If I can. First time I look at the clock, it's like, crap, it's 10 o'clock. This night went fast. Brenda Mackey, do I watch Redacted? Very rarely. Sometimes you guys will send me a link and I'll pay attention to it. My YouTube time, especially this time of year, is extremely limited because now we are getting to spring, and that means I've got 1,000,001 things that have to be done outside. So, like you guys asked me the other day why I didn't have a video up that day. I just get busy. So, and I kind of try to pay attention, but I got to keep the household running rather than sitting on my butt looking at the news stories. So that's always priority. All right, guys. Well, thank you for another fun Saturday night. This one went fast, but here it is. We will see you all in the morning. Have a good one. Pinball out.